Hello there, good to see you again if you're a returning viewer, and hello if you are new. So about 2 weeks ago, the version 0.2 update for Outcome Memories dropped, and I've had mixed thoughts on it. With overpowered killers, the worst map design I've ever seen in an ASIM game, and a no-clipping hedgehog, this update has been the most divisive update I've seen for an ASIM game, because while there's a lot I absolutely love about this update, there's also a lot I just really dislike about this update, to be honest. Now, while I'm not the best Outcome Memories player ever, especially not with the first OM video I ever made, I do feel like I'm at least good enough at the game to go a proper review of the update. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about this update from the good to the bad, and then finally, the glitches. Oh my god, the glitches. Also, I have a Discord server, so if you want sneak peeks for any of my future videos and want to participate in game nights, consider joining my Discord server. Link will be in the description of this video. Lastly, before we start, I'm trying to get to 375 subscribers before the year ends, so if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, as well as leaving a like, as it really helps. Anyways, on to the video. Now, I want to talk about a funny thing with Tripwire. So, as I'm writing the script, I have faced like 30 Tripwire players, and guess how many I've lost to? 20? 10? 5? All of them? 1. Just 1. And like half the Tripwire players I fought against left me for LMS, so you can't say that they all had a skill issue. Also, the person I lost to was congratulating me, because I now knew the pain that everyone else that had died to her felt. Such a kind fellow. Now, future me will say how many more Tripwires I lost to in the editing stage, but I find it kind of funny how it took me 4 days after 0.2 release date to finally lose to a Tripwire player. Anyways, while you would probably think I would like playing Enter with my giant Tripwire survival streak, you would be wrong. Now, let's start off for a double jump and glide passive. This is very annoying. You could be up on a high ledge, in a place where 2011X would have to waste an ability to get to, or Kolossos would have to climb up to reach. But Miss Tripwire over here could just steal Eggman Master Plan, multiply by 2, and make your life a living hell, as she could just double jump, fly stupidly past your position at Mach 1 speed, and jump here like Foxy from FNAF. Now if you thought that was bad enough, look at her abilities, they're even worse. She has an annoying ass mine that is virtually invisible, especially on low end devices, and it ragdolls you, making it easier to land hits, and on Green Hill it can launch it back into the stupid pond that I hate. Then, she has a laser, which is super annoying to dodge at close range, and it used to take away 25 HP on contact. Luckily, it only takes away 6 HP for the initial hit, but back when it did 25 HP for the initial hit, it was brutal. It also does chip damage, which is fine now, but when it did 25 damage on impact, you could understand why people hated that move. And finally, Reach Out. This move is basically just a lose-lose situation for the survivors if someone gets hit by it. You want to know why? Well, let me explain it to you. First, it does a lot of damage, and if you try to save someone from it, unless it's a projectile such as Amy's hammer or Tails' laser cannon, you take damage. Now personally, I don't like how the survivors have to get punished for landing a stun to save other survivors, so just remove the shield from the game, simple as that. Reach Out is already super annoying to deal with, it doesn't need enough reason to be annoying. So, with how OP Tripwire is, here are some proposed nerfs to make her more balanced. First of all, nerf the jump height of the second jump and decrease the glide speed. Glide speed is already very fast and the second jump makes her go really high already, nerf her this by a bit and it'll be fine. Secondly, make the mines at least a little more visible, especially on low-end devices, and make the mine cooldown 10-15 seconds. They originally nerfed it by 6 seconds, but they reverted it to free, and free is way too small of a cooldown, so just make it like 10-15 seconds or something, and it'll be fine. Then, add either a wind-up to her laser that was more reactable to the survivors, or make it so that she cannot move, so that the survivors can counter it easier. Finally, make it so that you don't take damage from helping your teammates with Reach Out, and then she'll be a perfectly fair killer in my opinion. Before we move on, I want to tell you a little funny story that happened recently. I was playing Tripwire and got to LMS with a Metal Sonic, and because the last survivor died after the start of Final 80, the ring was already open, and the Metal Sonic was basically at full health, so they should have had a free win. But I bullied him so badly that they just decided to rage quit before they even got close to the ring, so yeah, nerf Tripwire please. Okay, now on to the other main put of 0.2. Kolossos is a mixed bag for me. Sometimes he's an overpowered beast that can kill you in like 5 seconds, and other times he's a complete pushover. This is coming from someone with a lot of experience both fighting him and playing as him. One time, before like all the nerfs basically just made him a pushover, I went around with him with 5 minutes left on the clock in a basically full server. And this is from someone who only had 2 killer wins prior to 0.2, not including private servers. So you know how OP this skill can be in the right hands. Now, unlike with Tripwire, I had to rewrite a few parts of the script due to her getting buffed and nerfed after writing it. This part of the script was written after Kolossos' whole buff and nerfing that he has, so we'll go over how he currently plays. Now the first thing I want to say about him is that his biggest counter is teamwork. 90% of the deaths I've seen from him is with people that are either alone or at low HP at the exit. So if you're tired of dying to this fellow, just team up with somebody and you should hopefully be fine. Now, the one match that I played that basically confirmed this teamwork is Kolossos' best counter hypothesis was one of the most painful matches I've ever played in this game. So it was on Yukon when I was playing as Cream, a character I rarely ever play, and the Kolossos was targeting me for like 75% of the match once I got to last life. I ended up surviving this match because my teammates decided to lock the fuck in and protected me the entire rest of the match when he started targeting me. So yeah, if you don't want to keep losing against him, try taking up with your teammates. Anyways, on to the nerfs. Originally, I was positive about them, but after playing against and as him, I noticed how he's a lot worse to play as and against now. While I did the nerfs, these nerfs he got were so detrimental to him. For the nerfs now, his charge still deals 25 damage on impact and 50 when hitting a wall, and while it's good, in practice, landing his move can be super annoying sometimes. If the survivor has any moves that makes him invincible or blocks the moves such as Sonic Spin Dash and Dodge Meter, Metal Charge, Eggman and Knuckles Counter, and Blaze Fire Breath, then you basically just wasted your move, and if they can fly, being Tails and Silver, it's a lot harder to hit them because they can just fly away from the move. The only two characters that have basically no counter and charge are Amy, which that's an Amy main, and Cream, we don't really see play that much nowadays. With only two characters that with basically no counter to one of your most important moves in your kit, it just makes you a lot less threatening. Also, if you are near a wall or object that has a hitbox, such as the trees on your island, you can just stay near it to hopefully cancel his ability, which just makes it even worse. Also, it doesn't help that Kolossos has a bunch of end lag with his abilities after hitting charge. And while it's good in some parts with it cancelling the kill confirm charge that he used to have, where if you spam M1 after hitting the wall, it would instantly kill a non-healed survivor on last life, or do 75 damage to a full health survivor when the only nerf he had was a speed nerf. The amount of end lag he has now lasts for like a century, and it slows you down, giving the survivor even more time to escape. Now thanks to some recent buffs, I have no problems with his counter, grab, or tracker, but his climb and M1 are a different story. Remember when I was talking about how I was going to talk about the climb in the Tripwire section? Well, his climb is one of the most inconsistent parts of his moveset. Sometimes it's perfectly fine, I have no problems with it, but other times it makes me want to bash the hell out of my keyboard. Sometimes while climbing, he just gets stuck on an invisible wall, or he's able to climb to a surface that connects to an unclimbable surface, meaning you just get stuck on the wall you're climbing, and also, sometimes the ability doesn't even work. Even when I double jump on a surface, I know I can climb. It just decides not to work, losing me a bunch of valuable time in a chase, and due to a slow speed, it takes forever to catch up to a survivor unless you use charge, and due to how important that move is, you normally don't want to waste it catching up to a survivor. Now finally, his M1 hitbox. Oh my god, his M1 hitbox. Sometimes it feels like it's impossible to land, while other times it feels like it's impossible to dodge. With every other killer, their M1 is at least consistent like 55 to 70% of the time. But I don't know what they did to Kolossos' hitbox, because it never feels consistent. Well, this is probably related to ping. I normally get an average of 35 to 70 ping on based on what Roblox's ping settings says. I don't know why it's so inconsistent, as the M1 hitbox of 2011X and Tripwire is very consistent. Speaking of 2011X, let's talk about his buffs really quickly. Now, I haven't played with 2011X that much this update, and I haven't faced him that much either, but based on what I've played and have played against, he's definitely a lot better now. My first time testing the buffs, I won with him in a lobby with 5 people, and LMS began when there was more than 4 minutes left on the clock, and I won against a Cream during LMS, and she was being played by an online friend who was really good at her, and I only had 2 wins as him in 0.1, not including private servers, obviously. The second time, I got 2 kills in a full server, and it was super hard for me to even get 1 kill in a full lobby as him, so yeah, he is a lot better now. Not overpowered, but definitely good. Now on to a longer section, let's talk about Silver and Blaze. Now while I was excited for Silver and Blaze, unlike with Killer actually mained a survivor being Amy, so I wasn't nearly as excited for them, and while my expectations for Silver were high, I didn't really care for Blaze that much, and when the update dropped, I barely played Blaze and I didn't really like playing Silver, not because he's unfun, he's very fun to play as, but for different reasons I'll discuss soon, so I thought I was just gonna forget about them both entirely and just continue to main Amy. Then I played Blaze for this video. Blaze is genuinely one of the most fun survivors to play in the game, and she also replaced Sonic as my go-to secondary survivor in case someone picks Amy. Now, before I talk about why I like Blaze so much, let's talk about Silver so I can explain why I don't really like playing him. Now, I don't really feel like I need to go in depth with his moves to explain why I don't like playing Silver, so I'll give a brief explanation about my problem with each move. Suspension needs a bigger cooldown for missing, rocks are very underwhelming, time reversal needs to drain more of the energy bar, and flight is fine in its current state. So why don't I like playing as him? Because it's miserable to get money when playing as him, that's why. Yeah, for some reason suspension doesn't give points when you hit it, so the only way to get points with him is by using the rock. But only if you hit all 3 of them, and it gives as many points as hitting Amy's hammer with the full card, which is very low, so it takes a lot of effort to gain barely any points when playing as him. Now, I don't play Silver that much, but my friend Snowy, who plays him a lot, rarely gets above a C rank when playing as him outside of winning an LMS, so yeah, if it fixed the point distribution, then I would play him a lot more, but how he is now, I don't really feel like playing him, to be honest. Now, Blaze, like Silver, is super fun to play, however, doesn't have that hard to get points issue, so I like her a lot more. She's also the character introduced in 0.2 I have the least amount of problems with, so I won't go over any of her moves, as I don't really have anything to say about them, other than they are very balanced, fun to use, and are super satisfying to hit. However, one nitpick I have with her is with the Soul Flame and Burning Javelin respectively. Now personally, I vastly prefer Burning Javelin over Soul Flame, and I feel like it's better in most situations, so it's annoying if I have to use Soul Flame over Burning Javelin when the Soul meter is high enough, and there is no way to stop it this to my knowledge, and it can be pretty annoying. There have been so many times where I've tried using Burning Javelin, not knowing I was about 50% on the Soul meter, and ended up using Soul Flame instead. Now, I don't think that they will change this, but hopefully they can make it so that I can use the move I want to use and not mess up my encounter with the killer because of a mechanic that I had no control over. For my final thing on Silver and Blaze, Silver's LMS beam is pretty mid, while Blaze's LMS beam is one of the best in the entire game. Okay, well that was all the good stuff I had to say about this update, now let's move on to everything else that I hate. The new maps. Oh my god, the new maps. Like I hinted at the beginning of this video, these new maps are the most poorly designed maps I've ever seen in an ASIN game. And this is coming from someone who used to play Forsaken, which I literally stopped making content on to switch to OM because it's more fun. Now the glitches, which I will talk about soon, I can somewhat get behind due to the dev team being small, but the maps, I genuinely don't understand how anyone on the dev team could think, hey, these maps are amazing, the players are gonna love them, because holy, these maps need a rework, aside from one, and that is Angel Island. Like a few of the maps in the game, there is one central area where most of the match takes place. Where you can't run, it's the big area below the bridge that connects to 2 of the 3 exits that is every Talesmaid's favorite place to snipe. In Hill Gym, it's the place near the balcony where one of the rings spawns, and on the old Green Hill, it was the lowest layer of the map near where 2 of the rings spawns, and on Angel Island, it's on the area that connects to basically every other part of the map with the broken bridge. Now while I have nothing against these central areas, I do prefer when most of the match takes place throughout most of the map, which, unlike not perfect, the 2 new maps I'll be talking about next failed horribly at. For the other areas in the map, the temple section is fine, but there are a lot of invisible walls to make it less fun to traverse through. The Master Emerald section just feels like an afterthought that's just there for one of the ring locations, as well as the area next to it, but the bridge section is one of my favorite parts of the map. It's a very chaotic section that was handled very well and doesn't really need that much changing. What does need changing, however, is the stupid tree with the hitboxes that plague the map. There have been so many times where I've either gotten killed as Survivor or lost my charges Kolossos to these dumb trees. Genuinely, if they remove the tree's hitboxes, then Angel Island would be one of the best maps in the game, period. They did with the torches, they can do it with the trees as well. Also, the 88 or less team is amazing. Now, on Terrible Map 1, we have Mystic Cave. Some people say it's the worst map in the game, and while I hate this map, there is one other map that is miles worse than this. Now, the reason I and so many others hate the map is due to how painful it is to traverse this map. The main reason for that is due to how vertical this map is. Now, a pretty vertical map can be fun, it's not perfect proof that, but Mystic Cave does not. Now, most of the matches are going to be sent on either the top layer of the map or the bottom layer, which are fine and somewhat fun to play on, but it can be very annoying to traverse between them due to how many sprint cuts and jumps to get to them. So I have very similar thoughts on the top and bottom layer of both this map and Green Hill, I'll discuss them there. Also, if you're playing Kolossos and a Silver is on the Survivor team, just kiss your chance of winning goodbye because this map is tough to traverse as him. Also, apparently, the map floods during Final 80, but I didn't even know this until looking at the wiki, and sometimes the wiki can't be wrong, so it may not even happen, and if it does, it goes way too slowly to actually make a difference during the actual gameplay. Also, the 88 or less meme is like the best 88 or less meme in the entire game, so I guess it has that. Now, on to Terrible Map 2, Green Hill. This map. Now, I don't know the main contestant on the old Green Hill, but personally, it was my favorite map in the entire game. And now, it's the worst map in the entire game, and it's not even close. First of all, the verticality. Now like Mystic Cave, it has two main layers, a top and a bottom layer. And while the top layer of both maps are fun with their ups and downs, the main reason that makes me hate this map so much is the bottom layer, which is covered in water, which you can drown in. This means that there's literally no reason to go into the bottom layer, but the killer can take advantage of this and they can just push you further into the water away from all the exits, causing you to drown. If there was no water, it would probably be as bad as Mystic Cave, but the water really just kills this map for me. Also, we already have the water, we don't need the lightning as well during Final 80. Also, the Final 80 theme is okay. Lastly, the glitches. Okay. The glitches in this update were genuinely the worst glitches I've ever seen for an ASIM game, and again, I used to play Forsaken. First of all, the T-posing. Not counting T-posing during the kill animations due to them not having animation for it yet. I have seen 6 total characters T-posing this update, being Amy, Kolossos, Tripwire, Sonic, Silver, and Eggman. I also have a video where I countered a T-posing Kolossos, and while he is the main attraction of the video, I counted like 4 to 5 other glitches in that recording. Also, remember the no-clipping Amy clip at the beginning of this video? Well, that was caused by another glitch, and for some reason, she just becomes really wobbly after throwing her hammer for some reason, and I don't even know the cause of that glitch. Now while they are funny, they also disrupt the game experience by a lot, which can be annoying. And there are still so many other glitches I just don't have the time to talk about in this video. Anyways, that's all I really have to say, so if you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like or maybe even subscribing, and until then, peace out.